Live. Okay. So, one, I lost my cup. I had a cup and everything and I lost it. Anyway, we are going to live stream. I'm going to put makeup on while I read scary stories. So, let's do this. You guys seem to like scary stories, and I like reading them, and I like doing my makeup. It just works perfectly. That's not what I clicked on. My tablet likes to throw me random commercials. There we go. So, I've read a bunch of different scary stories. I read all the Christmas ones, the fairy tale ones. I just gotta find another group to read today. Have I done Halloween? I don't know, but we got horror stories right here. Did I just click on scary stories? I did. Horror stories. And I'm going to skip over the ones I've already read because I get very annoyed reading the same ones again. If you could click on that one, that'd be nice. So, sorry guys. So that's why it was. Okay, I had to make sure it locked. There's this one called Digital Camera. I'm going to throw it up here. Let's do this. I have brushes for this. This one, I think the other one's on my bureau. Actually, I'm going to grab it. Found it. I know where everything is. For once. Okay. This here, I got this today. I think I already showed it, but look. Has 3 tiers. The bottom is completely filled with gel pens. I did that myself. We have eyeshadows. I don't know what this one's called. I don't think they have names. They don't. But this one's nude colors. These ones are bold, risque colors. I have eyeliners, lipstick, mascara. Actually, the mascara didn't come in this. My sister's got this for me. But everything else came in here minus these nail polishes. These 2 nail polishes were the only ones that came with it. That is besides the point. So I'm going to take the stuff out, build a look, and then decide. So, this first story is called Digital Camera. I'm going to bring you guys back up here. There goes my tablet. And for anyone who didn't hear what I said, there goes my tablet. So I dropped it again. Okay, Digital Camera is a scary story, a scary ghost story about a girl whose mom dies suddenly. That's horrible. And she begins to exhibit strange behavior and refuses to be left alone. And it's supposedly based on a true story and apparently happened in Japan. The story was written in 2018. Not that matters, but I'm reading off of Scary for Kids, and they tell you what year these stories were written. So I figured I'd start mentioning that because some people wanted to know. Okay, so I'm going to put my hair back here so I can do my makeup. Decide which one to go with. I think I'm going to go with this one. I like bright colors. And I like darker colors. Okay, so this girl's relative passed away suddenly, and they never met the woman. It says one of the relatives, but in the beginning, in the description at the top, it says it's the mother. I am confused. I don't know which is which. But anyway, one of the relatives passed away suddenly, and they never met the woman. She had a daughter who was 4 years old. Okay, there we go. That's where it is. And her name was Yuki. At least I hope that's how her name is pronounced. This is eyeshadow primer. I'm just going to use my finger. That's probably not the best way. Oh, I could use this. Anyway, the daughter was 4 years old. Her father was unable to raise her on his own, so he asked her aunt to take care of her. I have to scroll. The little girl refused to be left alone and never left the side of the aunt. It started becoming a problem. The aunt couldn't go anywhere without her. She constantly needed attention. Even the aunt's own daughter started to get jealous. I mean, I can't say I blame her, but, Anyway. One day, the aunt told them that she had to go out of town for a couple of days, and it would be her job to babysit the little girl for her. They said it would be a pleasure. They lived alone, so they could use some company. A few days later, the aunt dropped Yuki off at this woman's apartment, and when she was leaving, she took the little girl aside and said, "Yuki, please be on your best behavior. Behave yourself." When the aunt left, they tried to talk to Yuki. Second. And to play some games with her. But then the girl's attitude and behavior started to be very strange. She had a teddy bear tucked in tightly under her arm and never let go of it. She never smiled. She never spoke. All she would ever do was sit quietly in a corner and stare at the wall. And it made them kind of uneasy. But I'd understand why. You have this child in your house and all of a sudden they're just staring at a wall. I mean, that's not the weirdest thing. I mean, Seffi does that every once in a while. She'll get bored and she'll stare at a wall. But, they were trying to find something to do that would entertain the little girl. And she just bought a new digital camera and decided to let Yuki play with the old one. When she saw the camera, her eyes lit up. And she never showed her how to use it. No, they showed her how to use it. Read it wrong. And she went around the apartment taking pictures of everything. And she had a bright smile on her face. Oh, that's cute. It's always a good feeling when you make a kid happy. I mean, to me, anyway. That evening, they discovered how difficult Yuki was to deal with. Whenever she tried to leave the room, she'd start crying and screaming out their name. And they couldn't leave her side because she would have a huge fit. And she even insisted on going to the bathroom with them, which in their eyes was very uneasy and embarrassing, which that obviously, kid that's not your own wants to go into the bathroom with you. It's weird. At bedtime, she refused to stay in the spare room and insisted on sleeping in their bed with them. They read her a bedtime story, and after a while, they managed to get her to go to sleep. That was when she noticed the teddy bear. One of its legs was charred and blackened as if it had been burnt. So it made them wonder. And in the middle of the night, they woke to a strange sound. When they turned over, they saw something was wrong with Yuki. The little girl's body was trembling and shaking. Her eyes were wide open, and her teeth were chattering, and tears were streaming down her cheek. Oh. And they held her close and asked her what was wrong. And she mumbled, "She's looking at me again." And they replied with, "Who is it?" And the little girl goes, "The dark woman." She wouldn't say any more than that. They tried to tell her it was just her imagination, but she kept shaking her head and whimpering, and it took a long time to get her to go back to sleep. The next day, she was totally fine. She began playing with the digital camera, and when it was time for her to go home, they told her she could keep it. So Yuki hugged her, and although she didn't say anything, they could tell she was overjoyed. They dropped the girl off at their aunt's house and stayed to have a cup of tea. The aunt thanked them for taking care of Yuki and spent a while chatting at the table. Poor little thing, said the aunt. She hasn't said a word since her mother died. I couldn't contain my They couldn't contain their curiosity. They're saying it in first person, and I just don't read stories like that. They asked how the mother died. Oh my gosh. And a strange look came over the mother's face, and she was in a fire. And they asked how did the fire start, and the aunt hesitated and was unwilling to talk about it. It was okay. I just skipped through. The mother sets the house on fire. So the family, horrified about this, hushed it and made it like it was an accident. And the little girl Yuki, thinks her mother is on a very, very long vacation. But they haven't told her the truth. And they go, poor Yuki, and the aunt says, yeah, poor her. Oh my gosh. Oh my word. It gets sad if you don't like the topic of dead children. This is not a good end of a story. I don't like this story. A few days after that, the girl dies. So the aunt was trying to get the girl to change her behavior. No, the aunt did not kill the child. That night, she forced the little girl to sleep in her own room. Even though Yuki screamed and cried, the aunt left her there. And the aunt locked the door. Shame on that aunt! Shame on her! And the next morning, she walks into the room, finds her dead. No one could understand what happened. The coroner couldn't even determine a cause of death. There wasn't a mark on her body. She was in perfect health. She just had mysteriously died that night. There was no explanation. After the funeral, they went back to their aunt's house, and everyone was very sad. She returned the digital camera to the girl who gave it to her, or him. The one that handed her the camera. It was something to remember her by. And the memory card was full of random photos that Yuki had taken, and they browsed through them. Obviously, they were super sad. There were pictures of the aunt's house, flowers, dogs, toys, candy, and then a silly picture that a child would take. And then they noticed something and their hands began trembling. They wanted to scream, but nothing would come out. The timestamp on the photo showed that it had been taken on the night Yuki died. On the last picture ever taken on the digital camera was a set of eyes. That's creepy. Oh my word. I can't really see the picture myself. It's a set of eyes. Trying to see if it was a face. Here. Can you guys see it? I need to turn the brightness on this down. I have it turned up because when I read stories, if there's a picture, I can't see it in the dark. Can you see it? There were two eyeballs. I'm trying to find the perfect brightness for you guys. I wonder if I turn this all the way up. Do you see the eyeballs? All right, you guys are gonna. If you couldn't see them, you have to read the story for yourself and see that. That is a horrible story. I don't like stories about children dying. I don't like stories with death in general. Death is just not something I like, even though, you know, people make stories about death a lot. I just don't like them. It's not my forte. It's just not the kind of stories I'm into. I like scary things, but not when they have to do with children. For some reason, I can watch scary things and they not scare me. And sad things happen in scary movies, like character gets killed off. Yeah, that's kind of sad, but nothing is more sad than when a child dies in a story. Or a child dying in general. That's sad. I don't even like movies that have to do with children dying. Me and Mom watched Pet Cemetery. Because what I think it was the original one, and the little boy dies. I think it was a little boy, and oh my gosh, my mom forgot that part happened in the movie, and she got really sad about that. I think that's where I get it from. We hate the idea of death, even if it's a child, even if it's just a movie. It's still freaking sad. We also watched Hereditary, and then what's her name in the movie? I can't remember what her name is. What is her name? Well, anyway, it's the younger sister, and where she dies. Oh my word, I almost cried. It was super sad. Just the idea of children death is horribly sad. I said I like doing risky colors, and I'm just doing natural colors and black. Wow. All the colors are here, but they're not that bright, if I'm being honest. They're dull colors. I don't like dull colors. Okay, this story is called The Cell Phone. The Cell Phone is a short, scary horror story about a woman who notices something disturbing on her mobile phone after she allows her young son to play with it. Don't let your children play with your phone. Okay. I'm going to do this brown eyeshadow and then I'm going to read it. And go with a super light purple pink here. And then I'll do liner. But first, we will read this story and then I will do eyeliner. Okay, there was a woman who has a 6-year-old son. One day, she bought a new mobile phone. When she came home from work, she started to cook dinner and left her phone down on the kitchen table. Her son came by into the kitchen and saw the phone. He asked his mother if he could play on it. You know, like normal kids do. She told him he could, as long as he did not call anyone or delete any texts. Of course, the boy agreed, went off to his bedroom to play with the phone around 10 a.m. at that night. 10 p.m., not a.m. I lied. The new cell phone was lying on the ground beside the bed. She picked it up and was browsing through the settings to make sure he didn't delete anything. She noticed a minor change. He changed the theme, the background, and had given her a new ringtone. She noticed that he had taken some pictures on his cell phone, and she opened the images and browsed through them. How cute, she thought. She thought he had been taking pictures of herself. Then she came across the last photo in her folder. When she first saw it, she couldn't quite believe it. While her eyes were playing tricks on her, was a photograph of her son lying asleep in bed. But the disturbing thing was what was lurking in the far left corner of the photo. It looks like a puppet. It seemed to show a creepy old woman's face. I'm not seeing a creepy old woman. I'm seeing what looks like a puppet. Have any of you seen, like, the episodes of Goosebumps? In that one episode, Night of the Living Dummy. I can't remember which one it is. There's, I think, 3 of them. It's that one with I think the puppet's name is Dennis. Freaking looks like the corner of his face. But that's just a show. And this is just a story. You see that corner thing? That's the sun. That's the creepy thing. Do you agree with me? Does it look like a puppet to you? Because that doesn't look like a person's face. Not to me, anyway. All right. I have glittery liner and then I have black liner. I want to know what this one looks like. I'm actually just going to test it on the back of my hand. Green. Obviously, it's green. It looks like a blue in the... It's like a green blue. I like it. I might do black. This one's called Short Horror Stories. I think this one has multiples in it. Such a thin applicator. Alright, I'm gonna skip over those. All of those are almost about satanic things, and I don't like reading stories like that. If you watch my live streams, especially when I did the live streams in October when it came about satanic things, I skipped right over it. I don't like it. That's just my personal opinion. Don't have to agree with me. I don't care. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I talk into the camera to do my... Oh, no. Oh, good thing I like to do thick lines. I can't see anything. And looking into the camera did not help at all. So, you know what? Forget this. I'm going to redo that. I just have to find a little washcloth. I'm going to grab a little washcloth. I'll be right back. They're in the bathroom. I actually just got a piece of toilet paper and get it wet. I'm not in the mood to look for a washcloth. Wonderful. Okay, so I'm not taking all of it off. Yes, I am. I'm almost done taking it off anyway. It sticks really well. Not the eyeliner, the eyeshadow. Primer. Okay, this story is called Car Keys. This looks like a fun story. This story is about a girl and a father who get in a car crash on one rainy night. One day, a father and his daughter were driving down a deserted country road. So, here's a question. When we start scary stories about a dad and a daughter, do they have to be on an abandoned country road? That seems like every horror movie cliche. Like someone's driving down an abandoned road. Mostly they're in the countryside where no one can hear you. Okay. They were returning home after spending their entire day visiting the girl's mother in the hospital. Oh, that's sad. Listening to the sound of the rain drumming on the car roof. I love listening to rain hit the car. I don't know why. I just do it. It's interesting to me. I'm going to try to match up. They're not going to match. But I don't really care. It's fine. When suddenly they heard a loud bang, and the father struggled with the steering wheel, but the car skidded off the wet road and slammed into a stone wall. After checking that his daughter was uninjured, the man got out of the car to survey the damage. But the front tires had large punctures in them, and the right fender was crumpled against the wall. The rest of the car had survived unscathed. We must have driven over something on the road, he explained to his daughter. Whatever it was blew both the tires. You can fix it, right? Asked the daughter, somewhat shaken by the accident. No, I've only got one spare in the boot. We'll have to walk back into town and find someone to tow the car. It isn't that far from here. You wait in the car while I'm gone. Never split up, especially if you're somewhere you don't know, especially on an abandoned country road. You stay together. Have they never seen a horror movie? Have they never seen real life? You're stronger in a bigger group. Okay. She reluctantly said, okay, please don't take too long. You're stupid. You should just get out of the car and walk. But it's fine. Sit tight, said the father. I'll be back as soon as possible. His daughter watched in the rearview mirror as he trudged off down the road, the rain pouring, and he disappeared into the night. More than an hour passed, and her father was still not back. The girl began to wonder what was taking him so long. She was very worried because he should have been back by then. How do you know? How far is this town? How far off is it? You didn't give us a time. For all we know, it's so much farther away that it's going to take a couple hours to walk there. I'm just going to use the green. Can someone explain that to me? This is one of those examples of stories that need more details. How far away is this town? How do you know your father's supposed to be back? Driving is much shorter than walking. It takes us 2 minutes. A minute and a half at most to drive down to our church. But when we're walking, it takes 5-10 minutes because it is a distance. Or the story is just making me very angry. It's fine. I'm not going nuts about it. I'm fine. The story's fine. Okay. Oh, here's another example. We can drive down to the store, which is not even a minute away while driving. But if you're walking, it takes a couple minutes to walk down the hill because it's kind of steep. Depending on what store you want to go to that's down there. So, going over it with black. Honestly, I like the black better. If I was doing lighter colors, that shimmery shade would be awesome. But I chose dark colors, so I need something super dark to contrast. And make it look like something I like doing wings. I think it's fun. Even though they never come out the same. It's okay. We'll pretend it's perfect. Alright, I'm going to put mascara on while I read this because I can do mascara while I read this. Okay. And she was worried that her father wasn't back yet. Just then, she glanced into the rearview mirror and saw a figure in the distance, walking towards the car. At first, she thought it was her father, but when she turned around and got a closer look, she realized it was a strange man dressed in overalls and had a big bushy beard and was carrying something large in his left hand, swinging it back and forth. Okay? You do you, boo-boo. Something about him made her feel very nervous as he approached. She stared out the back window and squinted her eyes. In the dim light, she could just make out that he was clutching in his right hand a big, sharp butcher's knife. I don't know what you would do in a situation like that. I don't want to know. I wouldn't personally want to know. But, okay. Thinking quickly, the terrified girl locked both the doors in the front of her car. Okay, I don't want to say that's stupid, but it doesn't seem smart. Where are they in this country road? Who's to say he can't just pick up a rock and throw it into the window, and if that happens, probably will. That's stupid. There's no point in locking that door. Or, if it's a butcher knife, can butcher knives break windows? I'm going to look that up. I'm going to look like a crazy person when one of my sisters go through my history. My sister Elizabeth likes to go through my history and see what I do. This can be one of those weird things. I wrote an iPhone. If you hear Sophie in the back, she's trying to go to bed. I wonder how many people have looked this up. I wonder how many people have gotten concerned about that. Oh, there's a lot of videos. You can break a car window with the butt of a knife. But a lot of people have tried to break a window with a butcher's knife. No one would stab a window with a butcher's knife for fearing of breaking a window or having their hand slide down the blade and cut it. So mostly they're afraid of cutting their hand. Okay, that's good to know. But you can. Just it's dangerous. Who's to say if he's not a serial killer, he's not going to be willing to be dangerous? But serial killers are like, oh, I don't want to be dangerous. I'm not going to kill you today. Have they ever said that? No, they haven't. Okay. Anyway, the story doesn't make sense. It's irritating me. But, in horror movies, all logic goes out the window. So, I mean, if he's unarmed and there's like no rocks around you, which is probably nearly impossible, then yeah, lock your window, lock your door. But he's armed, he can break the window. Yeah. Suddenly, the man raised his arms, and the girl let out a blood-curdling scream. In his left hand, he was clutching her father's head. Nope. Gross. He's a murderer. I called it. All she could do was scream and scream, and her heart was pounding. She was struggling to breathe. That seems rational. You see your father's head. I'd imagine you'd be in hysterics. That's horrid. I'm gonna put this lipstick on. The grotesque image of her father's expression on his face was horrifying. To behold, his mouth was hanging open and his eyes were rolled in the back of his head. Yeah. I would say that's horrifying. Would you? I'm going to put this highlighter on and then I'm going to keep reading stories because I don't really do much for my makeup. It came with this little brush. And it works good for the job it has to do. I'm going in with this one if you guys are wondering. I don't know. They don't have any shade names, obviously. And, blah, blah, blah. I went into my eyeball. That hurt, actually. But yet I am very calm about it. These bronzer, I don't. Any of these shades are going to be dark enough, but that one looks like a shimmer. Yeah. That one will work. It works well enough for what it has to do. Boop, boop. It's orange. It's orange. Hide my face in front of it. No one's ever going to. Hair in front of it. No one's going to see it. Anyway, she kept screaming, blah, blah, blah. When the man reached the car, he shoved his face right against the window and glowed at her. Glared. It should be glared at her with his bloodshot eyes. His hair was wild and matted with dirt. His face was covered in deep scars. For a moment, he just stood there, grinning at her like a madman. Then he reached into his pocket and took out something and slowly lifted his left hand. He was holding the father's case. Makes sense, but they didn't mention the father turning off the ignition, which I think maybe that was supposed to be a given because, car accident, take your keys out of the ignition, I guess. I'll go with this one. It's almost 10 o'clock. I heard them say that. Anyway. Did Dad have the keys in his pocket? Did he take the keys from the pocket? I want to know how he got the keys. I want to know where the keys were. Okay, I'm good. Arrest my case. I want to know where the keys are. It's one of those stories that I talk about need more detail. I need to know where the keys are. Even though it's a minor detail, it is an important minor detail because if the keys were in the ignition, I guess she would have them. Does your car unlock when you have the keys in the keys? Does the car lock when your keys are in the ignition? I have no idea. It might. I mean, it does when you're driving. I think you can. I think that happens. I think that happens a lot. Actually, now that I sit here and think about it. Yeah, that happens a lot. So, no, it wouldn't be just a given. These are too orange on me. You can tell when stories irritate me. Okay. So, creepy things kids say. I've already done that. Clap, clap. I feel like I've read that story. I want to know what all these shades look like. That's the one I have on right now. Is this one orange? It's a peach. You can barely see it on me. It's right here. That's this lipstick. I like that one though. I actually want to know what that looked like. Bib. Yellow. And ooh, it looks orange. This is the. Oh, it does look orange. Okay, this is just me putting on a bunch of makeup. Okay. Did I not get it all off my lip? Okay, wait. It's not the best idea if I'm taking my leggings. I have multiple leggings. And you're gonna put those on my lips. Oh. Okay, I'm making an executive decision. I like this red. Okay. No, that's a cute color mix. I'll mix the colors. And overline. Totally. Oh, here's a bit of information. The diamond art video. Oh, so irritating, didn't work. So I'm gonna do a different one for tomorrow. So we're gonna do Mickey and Minnie Mouse painting. Okay, so back to the story. This one is Clop Clop. Clop Clop is a scary story about a man and a woman who get lost in the mountains and come up by an old cabin. She's getting ready for bed, so if you hear her screaming, it is fine. She just don't want to go to sleep. One day, a young married couple were hiking in the mountains. As the sun began to set, they realized they were lost. The wife was getting worried, but her husband tried to stay calm. And he tried to calm her down and assure her that they would eventually find their way out and back. However, after walking for hours, they still had no idea where they were. It was growing darker, and the man and the wife... Wouldn't it be the husband and the wife? I mean, you could do the man and the wife. There's nothing against that, but I mean, husband, wife. That's just my personal opinion. That doesn't matter. They didn't have a map or a compass. Two things you probably should take with you when you're going hiking in the mountains. Okay. Just as they were about to give up hope, they found no cabin in the clearing. The cabin looked like it'd seen better days.
Oh, this is for you.
Oh, thank you.
It was dipped down there.
door. That's Elizabeth.
Oh, I'm just door that right there.
Cord, laptop.
Yeah.
I have it. Oh, Mom's is behind my little lunchbox. If you pick it up, it should be right there. When you guys talk. Door. Thank you. Seen better days. It was Delepid. Delepid, I think is how you pronounce it, but basically means run down and unused or abandoned. I had to look up that word multiple times. It seemed like it hadn't been used forever. And the windows were cracked, broken, and a lot of tiles had fallen off the roof. The husband knocked on the front door, but there was no response. When they turned the handle, it slowly creaked open. Inside, they found it was in a bad state of despair and disrepair. There was very little furniture, and the floor was covered with a thick layer of dust. The couple curiously looked around, and they noticed a strange atmosphere and a peculiar musty smell. The walls were covered from floor to ceiling with graffiti. When in the red paint, the words death, 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 death were repeated all over and over. The man and the woman were unnerved. With a shaking head, the husband reached out and touched the wall. He was horrified to find out that the paint wasn't dry. Oh, that would freak me out. The couple were very frightened, but they had nowhere else to go, and they knew that the mountains were too dangerous at night. You know it's too creepy at night, but you don't bring a map, and you don't bring a compass. That is your own fault. Despite the creepy writing on the wall, they decided to stay the night. You don't do that. One, you don't know if someone's living in there. I don't know what the term for it is. Camping. It's not camping, but I don't know what it's called. They're living in a place they're staying in a place that's not theirs. And you don't know if someone's doing that. It's basically what they're doing. But anyway, the husband and the wife wrapped themselves in old pieces of carpet. One, no, don't do that. Gross. No. To keep warm and to make themselves as comfortable as possible under the circumstances. They laid down together on the mattress and eventually managed to fall asleep. There was a mattress? Wait, I thought there was a couch. Was there a couch? They don't mention a couch, but they said very little furniture. And I just imagine when someone says little furniture, they mean a couch. When we first moved into our house here, we didn't have any furniture. And the next day we get a couch and most of our beds. A couple of us had to sleep on the couch because we didn't have our beds. So when someone says very little furniture, I first think of a couch because it's the first thing we got. Okay, besides the point. That was just something funny. Sometime after midnight. How do they know what time it is? Who has a watch? Does the man have a watch? Because they don't say that. Does the wife have a watch? Is there a clock in that house that works? Because if so, I don't know how to explain it. Okay, I did skip over a part. There was a moth-eating mattress that was covered in stains. Oh, and they're upstairs. There's an upstairs. That's the worst place to be. You're in upstairs and someone thinks, oh, it's weird. It looks like someone's been in my house. And if there's a thick layer of dust, I think you would see someone's footprints in the dust. This is me trying to be logical about it. This is a scary story. Scary stories aren't logical. They should be, but they're not. Yeah, if I don't rub this off now, it's not going to come off. I just realized I had this piece of toilet paper right there. You turn that story back on. You stop being a turd. Thank you. Sometime after midnight, the couple woke by a strange rustling noise. It sounded like someone or something was moving around outside the shack. Yeah, probably the owners of this house. Cabin in the Woods. Hey, that's a movie. In that movie, they all die. Well, I think No, I don't know if they live. I think they all die. I think everyone dies. Doesn't matter. I spoiled that for you if you've never seen Cabin in the Woods. Her husband listened for a while, but he didn't hear anything. He got out of bed and walked over to the window. It was too dark to see outside. Opened the window. He stuck his head out. Who's there? He called nervously. You do not ask if someone's out there. When you're in a house you don't belong in to begin with. That's stupid. There was no answer. Good for you. Maybe it's someone who couldn't speak. The husband returned to the window. Is anyone there? Clap once for yes and twice for no. 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 Nope. Nope. Okay, so twice for no, once for yes. He strained his ears to listen. The stars twinkled in the night sky and the crickets were chirping loudly, and all of a sudden he heard a loud clap. The man turned to his wife in surprise. To her right, there's someone out there. Okay, So he asked, are you the owner of the cabin? They knock. Clap twice. There's no knocking. They clap twice. Are you a man? They clap twice. Both meaning no. Are you a woman then? 2 for no. Are you human? They said no. They're a demon. Okay. A chill ran down the man's spine, and he goes, did you come here alone? And he claps twice. How many are you? Clap once for each person. I gotta count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 18, 19, 20. There's 49 people. All you missed was we were reading this story called Clap Clap, and they're in an abandoned cabin in the woods, and they're sleeping on a disgusting mattress. Besides the point, the wife hears someone outside and goes to the husband and tells him she thinks someone's out there, and he goes and yells out, hello. They don't answer, and the wife goes, what if they can't speak? He's like, clap once for yes, clap twice for no. And he asked if they're man and woman. They say no. They asked if they were human. They said no. They asked if they came alone. They said no. And there are 49 claps. So therefore, there are almost 50 demons out there, or ghosts. They're not human. Yeah, it sounds interesting. Okay. It's not that bad of a story, but they could have used common sense. But scary stories don't have common sense. Okay, so this next one is called The Policeman. This one sounds like a good story, actually. I've read a lot of stories about policemen, scary stories anyway. Okay, so The Policeman is a scary story about a man who comes home late from work and has an encounter in the elevator with a suspicious individual. And this is based off an urban legend from Japan and Korea. So a few years ago, this person lived in a large apartment complex in the city. The building was about 10 stories high, and their apartment was on the 8th floor. It was a bad area, which had a lot of crime, and they were planning to move out soon, so they never bothered to get to know any of the neighbors. One Friday night, they came home from a hard day of work, and they were feeling very tired. So they got into the elevator and pressed the button for their floor. When the doors opened, there was a man standing there, dressed in a long overcoat, and his hat was pulled down over his eyes. And they reply with, hello, just to be polite, and the man didn't answer. As they got off the elevator, he pushed through him to get into the elevator and started pressing the buttons. And the person might have themselves, what a jerk. I mean, that is a jerk move to knock someone out of your way. They unlocked their apartment door, went inside. They went straight to the bathroom. They were washing their hands, and they happened to glance in the mirror and saw something strange. There was a dark red stain on the sleeve of their shirt, and it looked like blood. Oh, that's weird, actually. Then they remembered the rude guy bumped into them in the elevator, and it made them feel sick. They didn't know where the blood came from, but they had their suspicions, and they immediately locked their front door. That should be the first thing you do when you walk into your apartment. If you don't have a friend over, lock your door as soon as you walk in. It just makes sense. They took a shower and threw the blood-stained shirt in the trash. That's normal. And they didn't sleep well that night. I imagine you wouldn't. That's kind of creepy. The next day was a Saturday. They had a date with an attractive young woman. Oh, that's nice that they met. And they were getting ready to leave when they heard the doorbell ring. And they got mad and were like, who would that be? They were already running late for their date, so they didn't want to waste more time. Peering through the peephole, it was a police officer standing outside the door. What is it? He said loudly. I'm sorry to disturb you, sir, he said politely, but I wanted to ask you a couple questions. There was a murder last night in the apartment next door to yours. Did he run into the murderer? Oh my gosh. Okay. They were late for their date and they didn't want to get involved. You should, especially if someone bumps into you and you get blood on your shirt and you don't know where it comes from. Because if the police officers search the trash and they find your shirt in a dumpster, you're in a lot of trouble for withholding evidence and lying. And they go, sorry, officer, I didn't see anything. And the police officer goes, maybe you'll be able to help us. Did you see anyone suspicious? Can you at least open the door to talk? The guy goes, I wasn't home last night. I can't help you. Don't lie to a police officer. Just don't. You'll get in so much more trouble. All right, sir, said the police officer. Thank you for your time. He walked off down the hall, and they continued to get ready for their date. For the next few days, they felt very nervous. Their next-door neighbor had been murdered. The neighborhood was really unsafe, and they were glad that they were moving out soon, I would imagine. But they felt guilty about lying to the police officer. That's your own problem. After all, they'd seen the murderer. Okay, they don't know that, but they can say they probably did. Anyway, they thought they should have told the police so they would have caught the killer. Sometimes crimes are solved by the littlest details. One morning before they went to work, they were wondering if the police had managed to solve the case. They turned on the television and watched the news, but it didn't mention anything about the murder. So when they were leaving for work, they noticed a bad smell in the hallway. It seemed to be coming from the apartment next door to theirs. Oh my gosh. That's weird. There's a lot of stories that do this. They went to the building manager and told him about the smell. And when they mentioned the murder, he said there hadn't been any murder in the building. And they convinced him, and they walked back to his floor. And when he smelled the stench, he used the master key to get into the neighbor's apartment. They were both horrified to what they found. The neighbor was on the floor, surrounded by a pool of blood. And he had been lying there for days. So wait. The guy that bumped into him could have very well been the murderer. But what if that police officer was the murderer? And if that man had opened the door, would he have killed him? He knew too much. Oh no, that's my hypothesis to that. That one's not a bad story. It's just a little weird. Okay. This one's called Tales of Terror. I wonder if this is multiple stories in one. Blue is sus. Okay. I think this is this one's a bunch of them. This first one in this group of them is called The Faceless Nun. Okay. There's been a bunch of stories about creepy nuns. Okay, there was a Catholic school that was rumored to be haunted. One day, a teenage girl stayed late after class and had ended to finish some schoolwork. As she was walking down the deserted hallway, she passed through one of the open classrooms. Out of the corner of her eye, she caught a figure standing in the classroom. She walked back and peeked through the door. There was a nun standing there, scribbling on the blackboard. The nun suddenly turned around to her face, and the girl was shocked. the old woman had no face. They just assume it's an old woman. That's rude. Her features were smooth like an egg. That's a weird description for a face. I mean, she's Slenderman. The Slender Nun. That's a thing now. The teenage girl screamed and fled in terror, and she had seen what was written on the blackboard in scrawled, spidery handwriting, and the words were, "Help me, I'm in hell." Oh my gosh. Oh my. I've heard that writing from a different thing. An egg. Yeah. Apparently a face is an egg. I've seen the "Help Me, I'm in hell" thing. That was in another movie. Not that this comes from any movie. This is a story. But why do people find nuns creepy? What is it about nuns? They look at them and they're all like, "You're creepy." Oh my gosh, imagine seeing a walking egg. I would laugh. Actually, I would laugh very hard. Okay, this next one is called The Quiet Student. I will never see my sister May the same. My sister May, we're all homeschooled. And May is the quiet student out of all of us. So I will never see my sister the same again if this turns out creepy. Okay, in a girls' school in the Philippines. Oh, that's great. We're all girls here too. So we're a girls' school. It was the first day of the semester. The girls were in their classroom and getting used to their new desk. When the school bell rang, the teacher walked and introduced himself to the class. Okay. Then, I lost my place. Then he started to do roll call, trying to make sure all his students were present. When he had finished, he noticed there was one girl whose name had not been called. The girl was dressed in a white shirt and jeans and was sitting in the front row. Hi, Peanut Butter. Hey, dude. Yeah? Directly across from his desk, he asked the girl if she was in the wrong classroom. She didn't answer. She just stared at him with a blank face. He repeated his question and she remained motionless. Suddenly, he noticed that the girl was bleeding from her forehead and the entire class screamed as the girl stood up, walked right past the teacher, and disappeared straight through the blackboard. A ghost girl? Okay, I will see my sister the same. My sister's not a ghost. This is our cat, Peanut Butter. Say hello. You broke your bow on your collar. Why would you do that? Apparently he doesn't like bows. Okay, this next one's called The Haunted Bathroom. What the heck to the story? Is that what that's for? Because the story is, what the heck? Doesn't make sense. I mean, why is it the quiet ones that get picked on? Okay, this one's called The Haunted Bathroom. Oh, lovely. Always. It's either bathrooms or classrooms. Oh, you're allergic to cats and peanut butter? Oh, no. Oh, fun fact, we named our cat Peanut Butter and we never saw him. Our dad's friend gave him to us and when he was a kitten. And coincidentally, his eyes are the color of peanut butter. And we named him the night before we saw him. That's super funny. Okay, so the haunted bathroom. I don't know what it is about scary stories, and it's either the bathroom or a classroom or a child's bedroom. Apparently, those are where paranormal activity happened. That needs to stop. Okay, so there were 3 boys in a certain school, like all the schools, okay, who were always causing trouble. One day, the 3 friends were hanging out in the hallway at lunchtime. They saw a girl go into the school bathroom and they decided to play a trick on her. Leave a girl alone. She had to go to the bathroom. They locked the bathroom door. Oh, you're mean. And stood outside the door and waited to see what would happen. Obviously, she's going to get mad. And when she gets out of there, she's going to kill you. Okay. A few minutes later. Oh, my word. Like a kid's... Yeah. Apparently, they think such innocent places are just the place for paranormal activity. After they locked the bathroom door, they saw the doorknob turn. It began to rattle, and they heard the girl's voice calling out. They chuckled and didn't answer her. She began knocking on the door and begged them to let her out. and they just stood there laughing and teasing her as she pounding on the door. After a minute or two, the girl started crying and screaming at them to unlock the door. The three boys felt guilty and decided to let her out before they got in trouble. One boy unlocked the door and waited, but the girl didn't open it. It opens. Oh, that's what they say. It opens. It's open. But there was no answer. The boy opened the door and looked inside. The bathroom was completely empty. They checked all the cubicles and called out the girl's name, but there was no response. There was no windows in this bathroom, and the only way out was the door. So you're telling me a ghost girl walks into the bathroom? Makes sense. That's what technically that's why it would be the haunted bathroom. Why did these boys go into the girl's bathroom? What if there was an actual girl in there? What if a girl walked in behind them? Oh my word. Okay, by this time the boys were creeped out and they ran out of the bathroom and down the hallway. They found the girl standing outside the front of the door of the school talking to a teacher. When they demanded to know how she got out of the bathroom, she was puzzled. But I didn't go to the bathroom today. Told it she never went into the bathroom. Okay, no, that's weird. Ghosts can make you see whatever you want them to. And that would make sense, though. Okay, this next one also has to do with the bathroom. The boys are nerds. Anyway, this one's called The Man in the Bathroom. And the story after that, I just read the title to it. It's called The Poop in the Bathroom. And for some reason, I can't help but laugh at that. My jokes are so mature. Okay, anyway, The Man in the Bathroom is the one we're starting with. There was a young girl who was sitting in a classroom one day, and she desperately needed to go to the toilet. And after class finished, she rushed down the hallway, and when she got to the girls' toilet, she went inside and saw all the stalls were empty. So she went into the first cubicle, locked the door behind her, and as soon as she sat on the toilet, she heard a noise. She looked down and she was shocked to see a pair of men's shoes standing outside her cubicle door. Why is there a man in the bathroom? Okay. He seemed to be waiting for her to finish, but all the other cubicles were unoccupied. The girl began to be very frightened, and the hair on the back of her neck started to stand on end. The back of her neck stood on end. That's what it says. Suddenly, the girl looked up and screamed. It was a freakishly tall man peering over the cubicle and staring at her with a sinister smile. How tall are normal bathroom stalls? I don't know. It's could be a pretty tall man, though. I'm 5'7", almost 5'8", and I'm still too short to see over a bathroom stall. My sister May is almost tall enough to see over a bathroom stall, and she's almost 6 foot. She's 5'9", or 5'8" and something. She's almost 5'9", and she can almost see over the bathroom stalls. That has to be some really tall man. I mean, our dad could probably see over a bathroom stall. Our dad's like 6'3", 6'2", 6'1", 6'1". Yeah, 6'1". Our dad's 6 something. He's a tall boy. Okay, this last one. On this one, I think it's the last one. It is the last one. It's called The Poop in the Bathroom. Oh, it's so scary. I bet it's a story someone didn't flush. Okay. I can't take this story seriously. My sense of humor is very mature. Okay, one evening, a school janitor had finished cleaning the bathroom. He was about to lock up the building when one of the teachers came hurrying down the hallway and asked if we could go inside to use the toilets. The janitor agreed. I know it's the worst crime. Okay, the janitor agreed, waited outside the door, and waited for the teacher to finish. Wait a minute, a few minutes later, the teacher came out, and the two men said goodbye to each other, and the teacher walked off down the hallway. The janitor walked into the bathroom to make sure it was clean before he locked up. He was horrified to find out that all the tiles on the floor were covered in... Oh my... The floor was covered in stinky brown handprints. You're telling me this guy was playing in crap?
I did not do like Jesus.
I don't care if you steal a pack, actually.
I made things that my cherry don't
Oh my gosh. When he looked closer, he saw it was poop and he ran off down the hallway. When he got to the teacher, he demanded
Who's
it.
that?
He confronted him and demanded to know what. While the teacher smeared the poop all over the bathroom floor, and the teacher said he didn't know what the janitor was talking about. So they argued for a while, and eventually the teacher got fed up and turned to leave. As they walked down out the door, the janitor was so shocked to see another brown handprint on the back of the teacher's white suit. You're telling me a ghost is playing with poop? No, lawyer, don't leave me. He's playing with poo. Oh my gosh, that's disgusting. I actually think I've read this story before. It's the worst crime. How does the teacher not smell that? The teacher must smell horrible. I'm dying. That's disgusting. I say it's disgusting because I'm laughing. Okay, wait. How does the teacher not notice? The poor janitor. He has to clean up that mess. He's probably thinking, I don't get paid enough to do this. Okay. I thought it'd be something stupider than that. But that's what gets me to laugh, apparently. I know, it's like the scariest story ever. How does the teacher not smell that? Well, you should close our door. We'll close our door. Give me a second. I'm going to die. Hey, peanut butter. I didn't notice our cat's still sitting here right beside me. Okay, I'm good. I'm not dying. Okay. This one's called the manhole. This one has to do with the sewer. If it has anything to do with poopy handprints, I'm gonna die. Okay, I have to put my makeup away. That's one thing I didn't do. Okay. The manhole is a creepy story from Japan about a girl who sees her classmate acting strangely on her way to school. Okay, one more young Japanese girl named Maya was walking to the end of the street. Bye, Kansas. And on the way, she happened to see another girl playing at the end of the street. For some strange reason, the girl was jumping up and down. And Maya knew that the girl must be attending the same school as she was. Have fun playing BitLife. Maya knew that the girl was attending the same school because they were both wearing the same school uniform. That means nothing. I mean, she could just be wearing the uniform for no reason. Could belong to one of her siblings. You know she has siblings. When Maya got closer, she saw that the girl was jumping up and down on a manhole cover. Is she gonna fall into the sewer? Okay. Anyway, she was puzzled. She was wondering what the girl was doing. And why was she jumping up and down in the same spot? Was she insane? Was it a game? That's rude. Just called her insane. As Maya passed, she recognized that the girl, it was Haruka. I have no idea how you pronounce her name. She was a quiet, strange girl from class who was often the target of bullying. Sometimes the other girls in the classroom would just ignore her. And at other times, they would play cruel pranks on her. The teachers knew she was being bullied, but they just turned a blind eye and didn't bother to get involved. This is where if she tells her parents, the parents should be able to sue the teachers. I'm just saying, because if the teacher knows, they should put a stop to it. That's their job. Or should be their job. Sometimes they feel they don't have to do that. Realizing the school was starting in a few minutes, Maya hurried off. I'm homeschooled, so I don't have to worry about bullying. If my sisters are mean to me, I just tell my mom. But I am the oldest, so they don't pick on me. Okay. That day in class, Maya noticed that there was an empty desk. And the girl, yeah. The girl she saw jumping on the manhole, Haruka, which sounds like Veruca, so I know I'm 100% pronouncing it wrong. She hadn't shown up, and she wondered what the girl was up to. If the girl is in the sewer, I swear, the girl better not be in the sewer. Okay, when the school bell rang, all the kids streamed out onto the street. Or they should have ran out to the street. Maya walked home. On the way, she came across Haruka again. Okay, so she's not in the manhole. She was in the same spot that she was in the morning, still jumping up and down. Maya walked up to the girl, stopped in front of her. The girl kept jumping as if Maya wasn't there. She had a big smile and was saying 99999. Oh, imagine if she is in the sewer and that is just her soul. What are you doing? Maya asked, and the girl didn't answer. She just kept saying 9. I asked you what you're doing. The girl still ignored her, kept jumping up and down. Maya didn't particularly like or dislike this girl. She remembered the girl was called cruel names in the past and bullied her along with her other students. So she was into bullying her. I wouldn't talk to you either if you were my bully. So who do you think you are? Answer me when I talk to you. That is not something you say to someone. You want someone to talk to you, you better be nice to them. I'm surprised that the next thing she does is not punch her. 9. Until that moment, Maya had never hated her like the others did. But the sight of the girl enjoying herself so much and ignoring her completely filled Maya with rage. You better tell me what you're doing or you'll be sorry. The girl just went on jumping happily, as if she didn't hear Maya. Suddenly, Maya lost her temper and pushed her to the ground. It's my turn, said Maya, and she took the girl's place and jumped on the manhole. Maya jumped in the air, and at that exact moment, the other girl reached out and removed the manhole cover, and she fell straight down. She shouldn't have been mean to her. That's her own fault. I don't condone violence either, or removing a manhole cover so she falls down. But the strange girl got on her feet and replaced the manhole cover, and then with a big smile of satisfaction, she started jumping up and down again. And as she jumped, she said, 10! That's the number of victims! What? So you telling me she's getting rid of her bullies like that? It's like the story. I can't remember what one it is. I can't remember what it's called. But there's this picture that this guy finds of a beautiful girl, and however many victims she has, she's holding up her hand. When the boy picks up the picture, she's holding 2 fingers. And then once he dies, another man finds the picture. It's the man that hits the kid with the car, which I've read that story before. I just can't remember what the name of it is. And then she's holding up a 3. That's so weird. That's weird. I bet you she's killing off her bullies every time they're mean to her and try to take her spot to annoy her. She just moves the manhole cover. She doesn't care.
Hey, so a video. Do you have an extra body? Mine's not working.
I have this white one. I'm not using it, actually. There you go.
That was annoying.
Yeah, I've been doing this video for a while. Okay. This one's called The Laughing Man. At least that story didn't have anything to do with poo. The story was so stupid. Okay. The Laughing Man is a scary story about 2 men who... Burr. It's Hamilton reference. Okay, in the comment, she said talk less. And then it's burr. Okay. 2 men in the jungles of Africa. Oh, I love the Hamilton references, guys. Love Hamilton. Okay. Africa, and they try to trap a rare species of ape. And it is based off an old horror comic that appeared in Creepy. Is Creepy the name of it? It says number 95. There was a doctor who worked in a remote village in Africa. He was the only white person for miles. Okay. There better be a lot of details and not just that one detail. Okay. And he spent half his life taking care of the local villagers, providing them with health care and medicine. One day, a white man stumbled into the village. He could barely walk and he was laughing hysterically. Hysterical laughing men. They're so scary. Okay. His clothes were tattered and torn, and his hands and knees were covered in blood. Ugh. His eyes were wild, and he looked exhausted, and it seemed like he was out of his mind. Interesting. The doctor gave him some water and tended to his wounds, but the man couldn't stop laughing. The doctor gave him a sedative to put him to bed so that he could get some rest. The man slept for hours, but when he woke up, the doctor gave him some food and tried to find out how he got there in the first place. What happened to you? Said the doctor. What are you doing all alone here in the jungle? I wasn't alone. I came here with my partner, Jack Hunter. We were on an expedition to find the legendary Walkie. That's what the locals called them. It's a rare species of ape. The Africans say they're intelligent apes, almost as intelligent as human. Maybe even a little more intelligent. We wanted to capture one and bring it back to civilization to put it on display. It was supposed to make us rich. You don't get to be mean to animals. No. We tried to hire a guide to take us to the Valley of the Apes. But none of the locals dared to go there. They were afraid of the apes. We weren't going to let that stop us. So we bought a canoe and headed out on our own. Yeah, because that's what you do. When we came to the Valley of the Apes, we made camp. Hunter unpacked the traps, and we set them up in a clearing in the jungle. We hid in the bushes and watched the traps for 3 whole days. But when we caught nothing, the apes were too smart for us. Okay, great. They're smart enough to not want to be captured. They knew what we were up to, and they weren't going to fall for our traps. You really scared me, Jefferson. You are that one person that doesn't close his doors. Oh, good. Okay. And when we didn't wait very long, in the middle of the night, we heard a loud scream and a horrible gargling animal scream. Oh, that doesn't sound pleasant. We rushed to check on the pit, and we found a dead ape impaled on the trap. That's so mean. That's mean. That's not even scary. That's mean. It's scary that they're that mean. You just killed an animal. Okay. So they grabbed the corpse. And all they wanted was to go home. Hunter had other ideas. He wanted to capture a live one. I bet you, and I'm calling this, the apes kill Hunter. I'm going to call that. And if not, so what? Oh, the other dude, for no reason, took out a knife and started skinning the ape's body. Ugh, that's gross. Disgusting. And the guy that is telling the story couldn't bear that, and when Hunter is the one that was skinning him. That's great. He put it on and wore it as a costume. That's so mean. Like, that's not even. So is this just a story that's scary because it's scary humans can be that sick? That's the only scary part about this, is that they're disgusting. So they removed the spikes from the pit and placed a log across it. And disguised in the ape costume, Hunter balanced on the log. Okay, that's good. Covered up the pit with branches and leaves again, and his plan was to trick the ape in coming closer so that he would fall in the trap. He crouched there on the log and waited while they went back to camp. The other guy went back to camp. It was almost dawn, and they were about to doze off when they heard a scream. They rushed to check out the pit. It was empty, and their friend Hunter was nowhere to be seen. They called out for his name, but he didn't reply. And they searched for hours, but when they found no trace, they gave up hope. When they spotted a figure in the jungle, it was Hunter. He was crouched down under a tree. And the description is he was as naked as the day he was born. She's such a funny line to me. I don't know why. But he was just staring at him with a blank look on his face. Hunter, what happened to you? I thought you were dead. Why didn't you answer me? Hunter didn't say a word. He slowly rose up to his feet and stood there staring at him and then started laughing. And then he took off. The man shaking and laughing so much he could barely control himself. His body went into a spasm of madness. The ape took off Hunter's skin. I called it. Sadly, I called it. That. Okay. Skinned his brother. I don't think Hunter was that guy's brother. But Hunter skinned the ape's brother. I bet that was the ape's plot of revenge, taking his skin. So wait. If that dude is... why was the other guy laughing so hard? That doesn't make sense. Okay. So I'm going to end this live stream here. I'll probably do another one tomorrow. But I will see you guys later. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!